Rave it, baby.
Have you seen that thing that went viral? I can't remember the actor's name. The game is you're getting driving instructions or a driver's test from a failed actor.
Oh my god.
No.
Dude, that's amazing. That's almost like that's as silly as the should we just talk about this on should we start recording?
We can start recording. I was just gonna say, like, what you were just doing is what he does the whole time, and it's so funny. It's just like,
that's nice. I was just gonna say that reminds me of like
this fucking town won't fucking hesitate to kill you.
Do you remember in comedy there was like a scam where you could go to comedy traffic school and it was just the same thing as traffic school, but it was by a disgruntled former comedian, a failed comedian would do these traffic school things, and they would be was that a Florida only thing?
And then you can get out of a ticket or something like
you could get either a reduced or you could get the points not taken off if you take the class. It was one of those things. I do remember it was one by this woman named Vicky something or other, but then I've seen other comedians do it over time, but it was real big in Florida because of course it was probably a scam, but I remember it vividly, and that is what that reminded me of, a failed actor teaching you how to drive, and for me it was a failed comedian teaching you how to reduce your ticket.
I just was thinking about what you just said of Florida. Of course, it was a scam. It was out of Florida. I think Texas, California, and Florida are the states, maybe West Virginia, maybe West by God, where the state itself has its own culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that culture, like, I'm not going to say it's known, but like, it's known of. Even people who don't know what the culture of Florida is know that Florida has a culture. Even people who don't know what the culture of Texas is, they think they know what the culture of Texas is.
Yeah.
Like, there's only a few states, like Colorado has a culture, but it's shared with Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess there's parts of Oklahoma that have the Texas culture, but that's how you say it. You're like, it's a little Texas there in that part of Oklahoma. It's not like that elsewhere. I think it's California, Texas, Florida, maybe West by God.
I mean, New York has its own culture.
New York City has its own, but that you can't say New York State has one. It doesn't even have one because it has like 4.
Yeah, that's
New York
true.
City. Yeah. Now the cities, sure. I'll give you cities. We're going to do New Orleans, New York. I think Baltimore, and I think it's underrated. Although
I don't know. I think Philly. I think Philly has more of a
like
distinct than Baltimore.
And half of DC's like Baltimore, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Depending on the part of Baltimore. So.
Miami, but it's fake, but it exists. It's got its own thing, or it's half fake. I think that's it. I'm not giving anyone
a comedy in Austin.
Ross, don't talk. We haven't even introduced you yet. Jesus Christ.
I didn't know we were recording.
I didn't know either. Are we?
I'm kidding, buddy. I was just doing a bit anyway.
Are we recording?
I didn't mind Russ.
Oh, he's waiting for us to start. But you let me. We're gonna start now.
You said we were starting, dude. I was performing. I was spitting fire. God damn.
I know. Well, if we weren't recording, he wasn't. Oh, buddy, that's what I was saying. We were like, well, maybe you wouldn't. I said, should we?
I heard you say let's record, so I just started it on my thing.
He has been recording. He's waiting for us to start. So I guess let's keep that all in. What's up, everybody? Welcome to motherfucking Gravy.
Keep in my meltdown. Keep in my little baby meltdown. I slammed in my
Welcome to the Gravy Baby Meltdown with Drew Morgan, ladies and gentlemen.
I slammed my Pellegrino bottle, which was a bit, everybody. This is flat. I found this in the trash can of my office here, and I put water in it, Carmen.
Whoa. You want to make sure we think you have bubbles in you, but you don't really have bubbles in you.
No, I'm fresh. I'm not full of bubbles.
Well, good. Then you won't.
This is the
burp
Gravy Baby Meltdown episode, and now you're showing us your like harvested water bottle. Is that a cry for help?
Okay.
First of all, every episode there is a subtle cry for help on Drew's end. You just have to figure it out. That's the Easter egg of every episode.
You just run the office, or if you also are Eliza. I haven't gotten into it yet, Ross. But let's not. I didn't agree to be diagnosed today. Let's start there. I didn't. I don't know.
We do have a guest today.
Oh, buddy, the diagnosis you got to pay for, but the subtle doubts I sprinkle so that you will come and pay for it.
Okay, but the whole point is that I can afford you. I'll send you $10 right now. What's your limit?
Ross Hill 92. That is my event. We accept all donations.
Ladies
Carmen,
and gentlemen,
introduce our guest.
I am. Ladies and gentlemen, the a looming ominous voice that you hear that is criticizing Drew currently is our wonderful guest, Mr. Ross Hill, who is on the board for Emerge Family Therapy Center, right? That's the name of it. And they run a sliding scale mental health nonprofit in South Carolina. It covers Greenville and Spartansburg, correct? And he's on today to talk a little bit about what he does, and also apparently low key TikTok diagnose Drew as well.
Before you got here, he was flirting with me.
Oh
and
shit!
I consider this to be a continuation of that for the record.
He's nagging you. Listen, sometimes the old tricks work.
Get in is your head.
Well,
Hell yeah,
I'll
buddy!
kick you right out. You're not in
See,
my
that
head,
shirt's
I'll
got
tell you that
buttons.
right
We'll
now.
see how far we get.
I'm loving
It's
it.
not gonna work on me. I'm too dumb for that. I'm way too dumb to be flirted with in that particular manner. I'm always like, that was weird, right? What was
Buddy,
that?
that's okay. You're cute when you're dumb.
That's right.
See, now that's way
That's
way,
big enough of a difference where Drew can pick up on it.
It's
You
also
can't be
touching on the
subtle.
things I'm want to be touched on. You know what I mean?
Which things do you want to be touched on?
There we go.
Do you guys want me to leave?
yeah,
I feel
thank
like
you
now
for
I'm
the-
intruding.
Thank you for the introduction, Carmen.
Please tell people what you guys do.
Yeah, I would love to. My only correction is I'm not fancy enough to be on the board.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm just a worker here. But my name's Ross Hill. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and supervisor and a certified addictions counselor and supervisor. And I work as a department director here at Emerge Family Therapy, which has been a nice experience because I trained here when I was a student. So to tell you a little bit about Emerge, we are a sliding scale clinic, like Carmen said, in Spartanburg and Greenville, South Carolina. We partner with a local college, Commerce University, as well as other colleges throughout the nation to train student therapists. So when people are going through their program to become therapists, they need a place to get hours and train. And we are one of the more unique setups in that everyone from one program can come here. So it's kind of like boot camp where you have your group of people and you all go through the shit together and push really hard and, make it through your first year. We're set up with cameras and two-way mirrors and whatnot so that we can observe people live and give better feedback and see things other than just what they come back and tell us.
Right.
We serve all income levels. So our fees go as low as, pull it up, $6, starting out $6 for a family of 4 with an income less than $13,500. And then we go up from there. We never turn people away due to financial limitations. And we also, some of our therapists who are fully licensed do take insurance. So we go all the way from can hardly afford anything up to somebody who's working and can afford either out of pocket or use their insurance. And we have 2 locations, but also do virtual within the state of South Carolina. And I can ramble about all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to stop rambling for a minute and see which way you want me to ramble next.
It was almost like we hit play on a tape recorder. It was like, this is... I feel like you've had to say that multiple times to different people looking for funding.
Well, hey, that's a good segue. Let's start there. In terms of funding, if people are paying $6 for therapy, who is paying for it? Are you guys a nonprofit? Are you state funded? Is it both?
We are a nonprofit. I don't think any of our funding currently is through government funding, which shields us a little bit from changes like when things change within a given administration or whatever. But a lot of our, sister organizations and other nonprofits do rely on that funding. So when it dries up, they start dipping into or needing to pull from the pools that we normally do, which is typically grants from other nonprofits. Our local county foundation is really good about advocacy and giving and investing in the community. So we get money from them and some other local organizations. as well as donations. We take donations on our website.
What is that website, real
Yeah.
quick, just so I don't forget?
It is emergeftc.org. So it's emerge FTC, like Family Therapy Center.org.
Okay. And, finish what you're saying. So you get the donations through that way, and then so
Cool.
you also, you're another person like we've talked about previously on the podcast, where you have to kind of go between the people in need and the people who have the money to coerce the money out of those people who don't know what to do with it because they're that rich. What would you say? What would you say is the most difficult part in that process? Is it convincing people that people without money are still people and need assistance? What would you say is the most difficult I guess way to get the things you need?
It's it's difficult in a couple different ways, because if you ask anyone, everyone supports mental health.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to like, what does that tangible support look like? You know, people's capacity or where they see need for it can be hard to say, well, this one in particular, right? Like, this is why you should put money this way instead of a larger organization or a different one has a different connections to the funder. But some of the reasons, like, we try to get people, for us in particular, we started in 1980. I'll read you a little right up here. We started in 1980 when Dr. Jim Rentz and Dr. Jim Pruitt founded Westgate Training and Consultation Network, now known as Emerge. Dr. Rentz and Dr. Pruitt have been trained in counseling in the late 60s through the 70s, but they both had a personal interest in the relatively new idea of working with people from a systems or family perspective. So everything we do here as marriage and family therapist is with the lens of you live in relation to other people, so you heal in relation to other people. And if we look at it just on the one person side, we're missing context and most of what's happening. So
That was new in the West in the 80s.
Well, in the 60s, 70s, yeah, because at that point, first of all, you have the stigma of mental health in general, because it was quote unquote only for crazy people, and now the women have to speak. So this is also a new concept to get the women's perspective and not just a dude's. I mean, you got to think about it in the context of the time, right?
Okay, yeah, Carmen, I was asking the man. That,
Oh, my
so if
bad,
you
my
could
bad.
just
So
let him
sorry, so sorry.
Jesus Christ, am I right, Ross?
Yeah, well, this is a typical Southern therapy session for couples. Got it.
I'm crushing it, dude. Let me get a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you drink it before you drive out of here. That's my favorite. But you
You can't drink and drive. You have to drink before you drive.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly. Yeah,
you
gotta be
philosophically doctor.
No, we're gonna follow the law literally, right? So yeah, you think like Freud and them, he was like late 1800s. So we're just getting to this, what happens to in your childhood, like impacts you throughout life, as if people didn't know that, but he wrote it down and other rich people said he had a good idea. And then we start getting into more and more attachment theory, which backs that up further with Bowlby and Ainsworth. And then counseling sort of grows. Computers are actually how we got to marriage and family therapists as a discipline, because they were looking at systems of what they called cybernetics, like how the code and stuff interacted with each other, and started looking and realizing like, there's this, and then there's a bigger one and a bigger one and a bigger one. And if you look at how one system functions, then how the systems function with each other. And then they started applying that to mental health and to therapy.
So tech is where is the reason we got to where we are with therapy?
With like my specific discipline, so like our branch of it,
right?
There's different licenses, came from people who had learned about cybernetics of cybernetics, and then said this systems thing has something to it. So then what if we look at, well, how does a family work, and then how do multiple families in a community work, and how do multiple communities work, and go on up from there.
That kind of makes sense, because they're also causing most of my mental health problems at the moment. So it's like a flip side of the coin there. All right, let's have a little fun. We'll get back into the nitty gritty of it, but since we got you here and you are a licensed professional, what's wrong with me and Carmen? No,
what's wrong? Thank you. Oh my God! Finally, see exactly.
You don't listen to Carmen enough.
Who? Okay, so since we got
the two next chromosomes,
and we're talking about systems, let's do a little rundown in terms of I assume there are people that you see who have unhealthy family situations, and it's like, well, what are you going to do? Cut your mom out of your kid's life? I mean, maybe, depending on how insane it is.
Then
I think we're all living in an unhealthy system at the moment of some capacity. Even if you're completely insulated, you're rich and you have a good partner and your kids respect you and you're in a good school system. At some point, if you live in America currently, unless you're just one of the ghouls causing all this shit, you're in an unhealthy system. Can you talk a little bit about, like, all right, as one example, I need this both to do my job in
For
terms
those
of like posting,
just
but
listening,
also,
Drew lifted up his phone. He's talking about his phone. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. So not just in terms of posting, but also in terms of like, I need to stay connected. Like if we're going to do a podcast and I'm going to have any idea what DJ is talking about, for example, but also just like going out in the world and doing comedy to other people who are engaging in the world. I have to engage in this world, but I want very much to disengage with this world. Is that something that that from your discipline and training, you can speak on, like the need to engage versus the need to disengage from time to time?
yeah, Drew, I got 4 tight minutes here on how to solve modern humanities problems. I got you.
My man, Ross, dude.
Yeah, well, my joke would be I've got some things that would lead to a permanent cessation of symptoms, but we try to avoid those. We try to keep people from suicide.
Oh, that's nice. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's what we do. We untying knots and all that stuff. The real answer, I think, would be like anything in life can boil down to, like, most of the diagnoses in the DSM, which is the American Book of Mental Health Disorders, come down to like 2 problems. Does it bother, or 2 questions? Does it bother you? And does it create problems in your life? And so if it is one of those 2 things, then sort of the general approach would be figure out exactly what about it is bothering you or what problems it's causing in your life. And then based on the approach, there's different approaches, make a plan to try to alter that course. Because like you said, it's too big. It's multifaceted. Technology is integrated into our life at this point. For most people, completely disconnecting isn't wise, if even possible. I think about the amount of good YouTube has brought into my life from turning wrenches and stuff like that. And so, like, we can't take it all away. And the internet has been good for mental health in a lot of ways, because now we have more access to what is normal, quote unquote, or like what is okay. Back in the 40s, whatever I saw my family do is just what families did. And there wasn't really a way for people to compare and be like, this thing that my spouse does to me is called gaslighting,
Oh, interesting.
So you can learn about other perspectives and in the context of other things, what is considered safe and unsafe, and maybe that is why I am constantly anxious all the time, is because I'm in fucking fight or flight all the time, and I'm normally shouldn't be having to live like that. Because living in survival.
It's such an interesting paradox too to me, because I'm immediately thinking about culture. Like like the normalization, the normal. Let's see here. Like things in your family and community can be very normalized, and some of them can be very unhealthy and bad. And it's important. Like the internet helps you see, like,
like
Crisco, it's actually not
and...
okay that I'm being treated this way, or there are people who don't hate gay people, or whatever the case is, where you kind of like the light bulb goes off. But then at the same time, there's this like weird flattening of culture that I see that kind of it means that every bad part of the broader culture is now seeping into worlds, like greed, for example. I mean, just every fucking kid everywhere wants to be an influencer and make billions of dollars. Anyway, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And like it's all good and bad, right? Because now kids, for example, we're all like millennial age bracket. So for the most part, like if I was getting picked on at school, when I left school, I at least had a break. But for kids now, that's not the case, because the bullying can follow you home. You can have digital access to people, so there's not as much of a disconnect in a healthy way in that case.
It's tough.
But then like another flip side is, assuming our parents did their best, they had limited resources, right? Like in the 90s, somebody had to write the book. You had to be able to find it like in the library or buy it through a catalog,
Mhm.
Whereas now, if you want to be a good parent, you can watch YouTube for years of actual decent advice on how to manage behaviors or talk to your kid or whatever. So access to terrible, horrible, trash, and bad advice, as well as good advice, is out there a lot more than it used to be.
It goes back to what you were saying about YouTube. I learned about attachment theory watching basically a talk at a convention of psychotherapists learning how to teach attachment theory to people. So I learned from a therapist teaching other therapists how to teach attachment theory to people who don't know about attachment theory, and that's how I learned about it. And so I was, not to be a hipster about it, but I was very much like, oh, I've been on attachment theory, dog. I've been on it when people started talking about it, and it was like it made so much sense to me because I would see all these issues in my friends and adults, and I mean, mental health is rabid in the entertainment industry. So I would see all of it and be like, oh, okay, you're obviously an avoidant, so that's why all of these conflicts keep happening, because you don't want to have the confrontation is scarier than the result of or the being satiated by the resolve of it. Is the fear of the confrontation is more so than this, and that's probably because in the beginning, so then you can figure that once you understand, because the thing I'm always looking for is understanding. So once I can understand why this behavior is happening, why is this your pattern of behavior, because that's the click for the neurospicy thing, is I was like, I just want to understand why this is occurring, why this pattern happens. So then it's like then you learn about it, and then you can communicate with people, and when you can see it, then you can talk to them like a person, maybe not in a therapy context, but in a friend context, and be like, well, did you ever think that maybe you're just scared, and this is just your reaction to being frightened, and kind of assist, because a lot of times it like for the longest time, therapy was a classist thing, and if it wasn't for technology, people wouldn't be able to find a sliding scale, be able to do therapy over Zoom. And granted, it's not as good as in person, but it's still something to be able to, like, if you're in a situation where you don't have someone else to talk to, if you don't have a resource, programs like this are really a saving grace for a lot of people. Here's my question to you, though. Then, how would someone go about finding something similar to this, if they're not in South Carolina?
Where most of us advertise, or at least one of the biggest places we advertise, is psychologytoday.com. That's it's a magazine, and they have articles, but they also have a therapist finder section, and that's one of the most common places that we will pay for profiles and posts. There's another one, I want to say Open Path Collective. That's off the top of my head. That may be wrong, but also searching if there's a college near you or in your state, even now with telehealth, and you can search and see if a college has a counseling program. Yes, they might have a clinic. They don't always. A lot of them will either send people somewhere like here, or out to various other places. So like 10 people in a counseling program might all have 10 different locations, which is another thing about Emerge that's nice and something special we offer, because everyone who comes through here gets the same experience for the most part. You're not going to have one person at a social work site or at a working with children site who gets one client a week, and then somebody else who's at an inpatient psych ward who sees stuff all day long. But sorry, ADHD deviation. But if you search and see that a college near you has some kind of therapy or counseling training program, there's a good chance they have a sliding scale clinic. Or would know.
That's awesome. Is that like people in their masters or something that are in there doing that? That's excellent. I do think there's people who've gotten their hair cut at the beauty school, and they fucked it up real bad, and they're hearing you say that right now, and they're like, dog, they can't even touch my head, much less the inside of my head.
I was just going to say that. What about the Gen Z therapists that are just like, oh, shit, like is snapping at you during clocked it.
Clocking.
Yeah.
I want to say about that, though, and this is from experience. Jokes aside or whatever, academia and the nonprofit world and students trying to learn, gotta have a better solution for the mental health of people who don't have high income than capitalism does. Because I have another podcast. Let's say I have 5 other podcasts, so people don't know which one I'm talking about. I only have one other podcast, and it was sponsored once upon a time by something called BetterHelp.
Mhm.
And what a fucking nightmare that was. They gave me like a code because they were sponsoring us.
Mhm.
And I went through it, and I genuinely tried. And at that time in my life, I needed help. And it turns out that venture capitalism marrying itself to, and I'm not saying no one has ever helped anyone on BetterHelp. I am certain. In fact, one of the bad experiences I had was a lady who had excellent reviews. Her clients loved her, and she kept having to cancel on me and postpone me because she was too busy.
Mhm.
So anyway, I just wanted to clear that because I had to get my joke off about getting haircuts at the salon, but I also do genuinely feel like academia and the nonprofit world are going to do a much better job of answering this question or solving this issue than fucking capitalism has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair is long, so I can confirm I have had that experience at a Great Clips, which helped convince me to stop going to Great Clips. Know exactly what you're talking about. The first time somebody did a lineup and took like my widow's peak without asking me, I was like, okay, all right, we are not doing this again.
Mhm.
And that's a legitimate concern. It's one I've been since I was a student therapist here back a million years ago. Have had to deal with, and the way I think of it is there are student therapists who are better than licensed therapists that I've met.
Mhm.
It's the same as like any other field, you know. You go to a shitty mechanic, you find a new mechanic. You go to a shitty therapist, people say therapy is bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But as long as you're matched with someone who is working within like the basic core competencies, so you're not doing harm by like misgendering someone or being dismissive when somebody's in a high conflict situation or a high risk situation. Another part of, at least here I can speak for, is all of our students who come through the program record their sessions and watch them with their supervisors and watch them in a group. So there's constant feedback.
Mhm.
There's constant eyes on them, and people that are like, they are younger and they're learning a lot, but because of that, they're also very committed
Mhm.
and wanting to help people. And if it's what you can access, it's honestly better than nothing.
So I have a question kind of related to that. So you and your, I don't want to say company, group, whatever, you're trying to address one of the biggest hurdles for people reaching or getting mental health, which is cost. There's got to be some others. I can think of 3 off the top of my head, but I'm sure you've been trained to deal with like the idea of people who don't want to be there, whatever. There are people who just, there's so many other hurdles to mental health. Some of them are internal. I know for a man in the South,
Mhm.
like it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those? And then if people are listening right now, what are some ways to get over them?
Your question was, what are some of the
Hurdles.
Hurdles for like people accessing or getting mental health outside of money? Like, you know, if we find the place that'll do the sliding scale, what's some other stuff that's getting in people?
I think what you're just trying to say is, how do you get a guy from the South to be like, therapy ain't gay? How do you get that?
Well, I do think stigma is one of them, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And the way you get him to do that is you get him alone and he'll say a worse word. But I think that,
Right.
But the stigma is one of them. Let's start there. What are, like, if someone listening right now is having a hard time in their own life, not with somebody, their self, what's some stuff you'd say to them about the stigma?
So before I forget, one piece of it is something we were talking about earlier made me think of this, that having somebody that you feel like can help you, that that you believe in to some extent,
Mhm.
matters. And that's where, especially in the rural South, because I grew up with one part of my family on a dirt road with no name. I lived in the big town in the county because we had the Walmart, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, no resources, none. But now anybody from my county, if they needed to see somebody who had a particular specialty, like me as an addictions counselor, I can see them virtually now. So that's one thing that has helped in terms of overcoming obstacles. I know it's not the stigma one you asked about, but telehealth has made access to specialists and people who are good at what you need way better, or way easier. And that's just a massive change across the board. that somebody, one of my clients who lives way out in the country and barely has internet, but has internet. So, they can see me. I think if we're talking about stigma, I'm not going to lie, I like being a little toxic with the guys sometimes. I know I've heard Drew talk about this on other places where sometimes you just got to call somebody a pussy to make them listen.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I'll have a good setup and be like, man, so you love your family and care about your family and stuff. Oh yeah. You probably do anything for them, wouldn't you? Yeah. If somebody fuck with them, you probably kill somebody, wouldn't you? Oh yeah, I kill somebody for my family, but you won't come sit on the couch in the air conditioner and have a conversation. And you kind of have to poke at the pride a lot of times, and like reframe it to get it. So it's like, dude, you will work your ass off for somebody, but that's not what your wife needs. She just needs you to listen for 30 seconds and say, wow, that was a hard day. Like, that's so much easier, my guy. Like, I can give you tools to make your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way, like as an individual, whatever the stigma is, thinking of one thing I like to do is anytime you have a should, pull it out and look at it and say, is this one I inherited or is this one I chose? Like, is this based on a value that's mine or that's somebody else's? And so
you mean like I shouldn't need therapy or I shouldn't waste my money or my time or whatever? Okay, say it again. Yep. Did I inherit it or what was the other one?
Did I inherit it or did I choose it? So like, growing up, my culture, men shouldn't cry. Men shouldn't have feelings. That's one I inherited. So I pull it out, look at it, and like, that's bullshit. Throw it away. Choose a different one that's like, men should be able to express feelings, right? And so replacing those shoulds is a whole type of work. But in like getting in the door, trying to unpack and look at not just how we think we're meeting a value, but like what the actual value is. Why do I think if I say I shouldn't need help, okay, maybe that value is men should be capable. Okay, capable doesn't always mean solo. Capable can mean knowing how to get the right help.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell people, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You can't drive nail without hammer. Like I've never met anybody. Yeah, there's the bodybuilders, whatever. But like realistically, nobody can build something with nails without a hammer. The tool is important to achieve it. These are just different tools. Like, and depending on the person, you lean into try to highlight where people's strengths are and not get this to see it as a weakness. Like,
yeah, you shouldn't be shamed because you don't have a hammer.
Mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like maybe your parents didn't give you a hammer.
Maybe the therapist told me we got to get hammered. That's what he said. He said we got to get hammered, and then I'm gonna nail you.
I did say that to you. You paying attention to you. So proud.
I mean, honestly, getting hammered and nailing somebody, it won't fix all your problems, but it'll help for a day or two.
Depending on who it is.
Well, sure, yeah. Okay, you're the professional. I guess I made a mistake and forgot to delineate strangers from my wife.
Oh, buddy, no. Sometimes the wife is the dangerous one.
Look at that. Talk about equality.
Going along with the stigma thing though, like in terms of people getting in, feeling comfortable with your person is the biggest determinant. Like the connection between a therapist and their client is the biggest predictor of like success and outcome, assuming other things are well. Like if somebody's unethical but you get along with them, that's not gonna fly. But if they're doing their basic like core therapist stuff right, the thing that makes the biggest difference is what's our connection like.
Mm-hmm.
Because how well do I know you? Do you trust me to like do things I suggest when they're uncomfortable? So like I'm in the process or have been in the process of finding a new therapist for myself. And I was looking and I found one and like she's got similar work history for me. So I know that some of like my difficult experiences she'll be able to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did a consult with her, she's from a small town in the South. When we talk, her accent sounds similar to mine. And so there's just something about that that's like, okay,
comforting.
This person has some things that I feel like we can connect on and like she'll get me. And you don't have to have somebody like you, but you have to have somebody that you feel like understands you.
I think that goes back to what you were talking about sometimes being toxic. I think a lot of times you have to meet people where they're at, and sometimes where they're at is a place of toxicity, and you have to kind of, it's the mirror, it's the showing themselves to them and then being like, oh, I see what you did there. And sometimes that's the thing that helps you really connect and make it seem less weird or uncomfortable or whatever the feeling is that it makes them unavailable to connect, if that makes sense. But it's also to go to back to your point about finding someone. I mean, there was a therapist I tried to connect with, and at a certain point I was like, and this is not to sound pretentious at all, but I was just like, I think I know more about mental health than you do, and I can't talk to somebody that I feel like I'm smarter than, because I'm going to you for aid.
I'm glad you said it, because I was sitting here wondering if I should share my own toxicity, which is just the latter part. I haven't done no research. I cannot think that I'm much smarter than you. It will not work. Mm-hmm. It's like a feeling. It's like, no, I need you to fix me. You got to be smart.
Right. Well, also there's no fixing. It's maintenance. It's a car. You can't just fix it. You have to maintain
like
it.
A smart person would reply to me with, and then made me think, damn, she's in fucking control here. All right. Pretty good.
It's when somebody's like, thanks, producer Mark. He's given me the eyes too. But yeah, there's got to be something where, in order for you to feel safe, you have to feel like somebody is in, not even necessarily control, because I don't think it should be a power dynamic, but at least someone who's capable of understanding, being able to wrap their head around it. Like, if I've already done this amount of work, I don't want to go in and redo all the work I already did. I can show you the work. I can tell you the work that I've done. I can tell you where I'm at with it. But I don't want to start at the beginning just because you don't understand all of the work I've completed and have gotten to and the level that I'm at. And if I can't talk to you on a level, then yeah, dude, then we can't rap. I can't rap with you. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah. Feeling like this person's got it, or at least a plan, right? And like, I never can only speak for myself. I never promise people things I can't deliver. Like, no outcomes are guaranteed. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moving parts, but I should have a plan that I think will work. Because you come to me for hope, and if you show up and I'm like, "Whew, God damn, what are you gonna do about that?" It's like, that ain't helpful.
I don't know. That might hit for me in a weird way. And then what are you gonna do about that? I'd be like,
and I do that. Like, I'll be like,
how'd it go, baby? He'd be like, he said what I've been telling you, son. It's too fucked up. He's some worst case he's ever seen.
He said it was fucking bad. Yeah.
How do you feel about, I don't know, the TikTokification of your industry? What I mean is, like, you already touched on it a little bit. Like, people now know what gaslighting is. That's definitely a good thing. Mm-hmm. They're also using it too much. There's people who've never been to therapy, or they go to therapy once and suddenly they, can fix themselves and diagnose everyone else in their circle. And like, I even had a bit for a time that a lot of counselors and psychologists would pull me aside after and be like, that was fucking great. Mm-hmm. Where I think I opened it with, you're not moving therapy and got fucking worse. Yeah. How do you feel about, I mean, we see it in every industry. We definitely see it in comedy. Mm-hmm. This sort of internetification of your discipline, of a thing that you've studied, personal feelings and professional feelings. Like, what's your reaction to that?
Because, I mean, right now it's happening super big with like neurodivergence or neurospicy or whichever is that, there's a lot of people self-diagnosing just because they like 3 different kinds of beverages. So they're like, oh, I must be on the spectrum. And it's like, naturally, and not only that, but the weaponization of therapy. There's a lot of fuckboys just using terms that they've learned from TikTok to try to get their dick wet. And it's just like, no, dog, like this is actually why you really need to go to therapy, is because you're just saying stuff to
the good, the way, the bad. I mean, like you said, people who never even thought about therapy are now like aware of it, and they're looking at their mom and they're going, damn, I need to work through some stuff maybe. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, y'all's thoughts are just as valid as mine, I think, because I have thoughts on culture and sociology and that sort of stuff, but I think it's just a mixed bag, honestly. Like, I know it's a podcast and I should probably have an inflammatory opinion, but
No.
No, that's our job.
let
Yeah,
you your
we'll do
job.
that.
You let ours. But you let us do ours.
Like
Don't take our job, and we'll try not to take yours.
what I'm trying to do with stuff in general is like take a bigger perspective. Like AI is a big thing now, right? And everybody's worried about, are AI going to come for therapy jobs? And for some of them, they are. And honestly, man, they can do better than some of these therapists out here. But
I think I'd rather kill myself than talk to a robot. You don't need to tell anyone in your field I said that, but I think I'd rather kill myself than talk to a robot. When someone, this is so not empathetic, but when someone's like, oh, this dude killed himself because the robot told him to, I'm kind of like, good. I feel like we needed to lose that guy. If a robot can make you do that, then we needed you out of here.
That's Darwin working, just working in tech. That's all.
Yeah. But it's like, trying to recognize that technology always advances and it's always a tool. And when we're figuring them out, there's always people that get hurt trying to figure out how to use it well, right? Like OSHA or whatever someone's got to get hurt before they can make a rule when there's new things. And that's just part of this. Like there's going to be messiness. We can't really solve teaching people how to consume information is probably the biggest skill that you need to be healthy and successful in our modern society, I guess is where I would land on it. Because you're going to it's not just therapy, right? Like you have to learn how to peruse and sort through and figure out like when is something legitimate, when it's not.
What a sobered, valid, awesome response. I guess if I'm going to put you on the spot for a clip, and don't worry, I'm not going to clip this, I'm very lazy. But net good, net negative, or net neutral then, the internet, and when it comes to therapy. Or mental health, I should say.
Net good. I would say.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's gravy, baby. The internet
that is definitely what's gravy. Because like, again, just the books thing, right? Like books on the shelf back there that you can get. Like neurodiverse. I mean, I started working in therapy. It'll be 10 years this month. And the change just in that telehealth, TikTok, all that stuff. Even in that time, like the shift in access and even like neurodivergence, it was not talked about in grad school the way it is now. I was late diagnosed after grad school, partially because of the upswell in like knowledge, and it's leading to more research and stuff too. I mean, just on if you want to go real basic, the ability to share research on the internet is a net positive, but in like normal day-to-day people's lives, I think it is a net positive. I think that then one of the big dangers are the negatives that people don't see. So like, technology helps us stay connected, but it's not the same as in person.
Yeah, it's not the same as connection.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, therapy being in person versus online. There are cases where I think people have done better online with me because they're comfortable in their home, or they can't leave their home because of agoraphobia. So we have to work up to that, right?
That makes sense.
Sometimes it's both as a client and a therapist, it's better for me to be in the room and like feel emotion from somebody and like have that catharsis or whatever. But that's also really heavy and intense. And there have been times where I, as a client, have felt better doing a virtual session because I thought I could get out what I was trying to say. Whereas in person, like I might just sob, But I would say net positive, but what do y'all think?
I think I absolutely think net positive, because now then there's people who become aware of something. I mean, I was talking to a therapist friend of mine who was like, I have so many people coming in now going, am I a narcissist? Am I a narcissist? Because they learned what narcissism is, and they may have like a couple of traits that is inherited or something like that, where they're like, no, just because you do a couple of maybe selfish things doesn't mean that you inherently have this. And honestly, if you're really worried about it, then that's probably an indicator that you're probably not. If you're concerned
if you
about
have
it.
the insight to wonder if you have a personality disorder, there's a good chance you don't have a personality disorder.
Really?
Or if it is, maybe you're capable of managing it. If it might be a later case.
I feel like a lot of borderlines are very worried about whether or not they have borderline, but maybe I just fuck around with too many crazy people.
They might now with TikTok, but like if you're just running into somebody in the real world and you're like, hey, so I think your brain is like messed up in a way that makes you interpret the world wrong and makes everyone not like you. I think that's what's going on. That person's gonna be like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're like, I don't care. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's not gonna flag for them at all. Like,
Yeah.
if you're
No, that's fair. I thought you just meant like they'll be like, yeah, no, you're probably right. I am. Who cares? That's fun.
That
Man,
is-
they're fun
they're-
though.
they're-
They're fun.
Yep, that's the trouble. That's yep. A lot of good trauma in life comes from people with BPD. Good God.
I think borderline's also a catch-all though. I feel like a lot of there's a lot of and this isn't a criticism to you, but of the industry, a lot of times when people don't really understand what's happening, they get pushed into the bucket of borderline because borderline covers so many things. So then it's just like, I mean, there's definitely people who've been misdiagnosed bipolar. I mean, I've talked about this before. I mean, when I'm streaming and shit like that, there's people who's definitely been misdiagnosed as bipolar, borderline, stuff like that, because it's ADHD and it's and it takes a super because it's nuanced. There's super there's a lot of things that you have to take into account that it's not necessarily there is emotional irregularity in both. So we have to talk about all the other factors. What are all of the other things? What are the things that are making you feel this way? What are the things that make you incapable of functioning? All of these nuanced things that happen. And I think because we didn't have the research we did have about neurospicy folks, that's why a lot of people were diagnosed and maybe put on a different medication than they probably should have, because before it was bipolar. Whatever we didn't understand, it ended up being bipolar. And then people are put on lithium and they're put on Zoloft and they're put on all of these things, which for people who are neurospicy, those things don't really help you. And in a lot of cases, they make symptoms worse, so I do think, back to the telehealth thing, I do think that's part of the net positive for me is more people now, they're like, oh shit, you haven't been this whole time, and we can course correct. We can get you where you need to go more so now, instead of you being perpetually confused.
Well, you guys have convinced me. I think if I had to go first, I would have said neutral. Because I think I look, like you said, it's a tool, and I think I would have been like, oh, the internet, it makes some things seem worse and some things seem better, but it's neutral because it's just a tool, and mental health is in the state it's in, and blah, blah, blah. But I think you guys have convinced me that it is a net positive. So thank you both for that.
Carmen, we convinced Drew to change. This treatment plan is going great.
Hell yeah. Man. Well, so on that
Earn
note,
that
part of my
$6.
treatment plan, the answer to your question is not at the beginning before we started recording, is not entirely determined on your answer to this, but I was wondering, can you prescribe pills?
No.
I knew you couldn't. I just first wanted to get that out there because maybe I missed something and you could.
I
was
love,
like, buddy,
I gotta
mean,
preface
I'll
this.
lose now.
I love talking shit among the disciplines, the same way Army, Navy people do.
Yeah.
So there's social workers, licensed professional counselors, and licensed marriage and family therapists. And so I love doing stuff like, okay, man, we don't have LPCs here. I gotta rewrite the paperwork with pictures and take all the big words out. I gotta have crayons and stuff. And so with doctors, my response is normally, you can tell I'm not a doctor because I care about people.
Nice.
Which,
Yeah.
Is
Let them cook.
not super fair, but it's a good blanket statement.
Oh, that's good. My second question is, can I propose a diagnosis to you? Not for you, for the world.
Sure. What you got?
I think that we should start doing what I want to call either environmental or generational autism. Because every time I go look at the symptoms, every old person I've ever met has all of them. And I don't think they're all autistic. I just think they've aged into it. And I think if you just are alive long enough, I just think you become autistic. I know that's not very fun to say, but it's guys, okay, we don't pick up on social cues. Okay, we have a special interest. Oh, like what? Knitting? Yeah, every fucking old lady I've ever known. Well, autistic people don't like change. They want to keep the same shirt on. And your papa don't want black people at his water fountain. I just feel like old people are giving me neurospicy. And at first, when I was observing this in my town I'm living in, all the old people I'm around, I'm like, damn, we got a lot of undiagnosed here. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's all of them, though. There's something happening. Maybe it's lead paint. I just feel like...
Okay, so let's see. If it develops later, then we're going to have to look for it to change, right? So we'll call this Papawtism.
That's exactly what I've been calling it. That's exactly Ross. You read my mind.
I might have heard you say it probably somewhere else, but
that is the title.
So we've got to look for it to see if there's a change, right? If it's going to develop.
That makes sense.
So the
But what if the world changes? What if you don't change, and so you don't seem you're neurotypical, and then the world changes, and now you're not typical anymore because you went from. Does that make sense? That's what I'm getting at. Is that old people are at some point in their life the majority of the culture, and then as their friends die, they're no longer the majority of the culture. Is it possible that neurotypical becomes neurodivergent because what's typical changes?
Oh, you're saying the tism is especially like a functional, because obviously there's different gradients of this, but you're saying societally we become more neurospicy as we get older because society around us changes.
Well, listen, whatever I'm saying is extremely stupid, and I can't believe I'm saying it to a person with a degree, like a real asshole here. But if you wanted me to like actually back up my argument or whatever, what I'm saying, Carmen, is just on a base level, as I underturn the phrase neurotypical, it means that you are typical. Yeah. And so neurodivergent means that you are diverging from the typical. So is it not possible that you are typical until the culture changes around you and now you are divergent from what is typical? Like the way you was acting was fine in 1955, Papaw, but we ain't in 1955 anymore. You have diverged neurally.
Yeah, I love that. So we got to unconflate two things, which is
good. I like unconflating
behavior. So we're talking about like cultural norms and deviancy. Fun word, right? We love deviant. Versus neurodevelopmental functioning. So like that's the boring real answer is if you're neurodivergent, my inside brain, not my mind, but my brain works different too than. I don't know if I know any neurotypical people, but whatever they're like, one of those.
That makes sense, but can you explain to me how we diagnose that? Because every time I read about it, they just start describing behaviors.
With diagnostic criteria, we often, we go back to those two things I threw out earlier. Is it a problem for you and does it bother you? Because like with addiction, it might not bother you, but I can really clearly tell you it's a problem, right? And vice versa. You can have things where it's like, it's bothering me, but I like high functioning depression, but I'm managing it so it's not a problem, right?
Right.
And so we have to take internal diagnostic criteria into account when you're looking at things like that. Like, well, do I not want to change because it's based on a value, or do I not want to change because it makes my body release, whatever hormone, cortisol, stress hormone, because my schedule's changed. Does that make sense?
It does. I think what you're saying is you're being very kind to my very stupid and ignorant bit. And
I got some diagnostic criteria for you for Papawtism.
Well, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I do want diagnostic criteria because I feel like even the diagnostic criteria for neurodivergence feels a little behavior-based to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it is a lot of behavior-based, which probably is a reflection of where the labeling and origins of it as a disorder come from. That it was people being like, my kid don't do what I want. How do I pathologize that? Instead of being like, what could I do differently to not torture this human into compliance? Right. But I think like if we're going to claim that these old people got autism late, what you're looking for is buying tickets for trains, going to a plane museum, over-the-ear headphones, Crocs, all the autism stuff,
Okay, and I hear your Crocs, and I'm going to raise you those Keen slip-on house slippers, okay? We're gonna talk about over the headphones. Those are there. They're not going to train museums. They're going to Hardee's every day and talking shit, or they're going like to Vietnam. You know what I mean? They're taking these trips to Ireland, and they're regimented. Like they've got every minute planned. All right, let's get out of the bit because I feel like I'm having fun.
I'm having a blast.
Carmen, okay, good. I was afraid. I was like, man, he's looking at me like, hey, dude, people might listen to this and they might come after me. You can always fall back on my job's a joke. Ross, dude, I appreciate you. I got to hard out in a few minutes because of my son. Let's plug everything one more time.
If anyone is interested in our services, I did have.
If you think you have Papawtism. Make sure you guys go to emerge.
Yeah.
I know I
Email
have it.
me and Drew at rosshill.mft@gmail.com to talk about your Papawtism. A little bit on Emerge. We don't have all of our data forever, but we were founded in 1980. Since 2016, we have done 90,000 sessions, and we have served almost 4,500 unique client systems, so families, and have over the past 12 years provided over $5.5 million in charities therapy. So that's where the balance of what someone can't pay on a sliding scale is either covered by a grant or written off. So if anyone would like to get services from Emerge, that is emergeftc.org. Or if you'd like to donate and support our mission, you can donate on that website as well. And if you happen to be listening and you are a student looking to go into a graduate program for counseling and you don't have a practicum site, encourage your university to reach out to us.
Nice. I know you have to go.
appreciate the hell out of
Drew,
what you do.
I have one more question for me. If Drew, you have to go, I totally understand, but I would like to ask Ross this question. Also just based on usually where our podcast goes, which is Into the Abiscuit. How do we support the people who are doing the support? Because they are also living in this hellscape as well. So
Great
it's like,
question. Thank you so much, Ross. I love you guys. Bye.
so it's like, I know obviously you're a therapist who is in therapy, who believes in therapy, so that is one way. But if somebody is barely holding on, how are they supposed to do their job, which is giving people hope to you know what I'm saying, to not
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm navigating this myself. I'm going back into therapy after having been out for a few years because we are a small business. We're not able to offer insurance. So that varies based on, what I'm able to get at the marketplace year to year on insurance. That's the case for a lot of therapists. If you don't, the best way to be successful as a therapist is to have a partner who can support you, honestly, or to have financial support from family. It's not a high paying field if you're working with normal people. Like, you can charge whatever you want per hour, but it's not most people. Most people are working with insurance, and checking on them, like if they're your friends, legit, just saying, hey, I know it's rough. If you're able to support, again, people in your life in tangible ways, like doing laundry, taking them supper one day, being understanding why sometimes we get off work and just need to stare at the wall for an hour, because it feels, especially now, like people are running around outside with flamethrowers, setting folks on fire. They come in the office, we get the fire put out, but we're sending them back out to the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of helping people cope with things that are not within their control and also not likely to change.
Right.
So that has a cumulative effect too, because we're trying to help people make change and navigate and do things in their lives. But sometimes all it is help them find a way to maintain. And that can be difficult over time when you're trying to keep folks alive and healthy. And we can also get frustrated when I feel like I'm not able to help my client effectively because they're not changing. But sometimes that's not realistic. Like, maybe the most I can ever do for them is keep them from going backwards in this moment because of how much is stacked against them.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Just the cumulative stress of everyone right now, and the people who carry it, us trauma sponges.
Because that was the thing. To what you're saying, I feel like that was, for the longest time, it was like depressed people were like, everything is the worst. And then you could be like, well, I understand that you're depressed. You think everything is the worst. And now it's like, damn, these motherfuckers were spitting this whole time.
Yeah.
It's hard to be like, no, you're just depressed when the world is depressing.
You definitely have those times where it's like, it doesn't like say, but yeah, this fucking sucks, man. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm right here with you. This sucks. I feel bad for you.
Yes.
Like, we're gonna work on it, but this sucks.
Yeah, and I think a lot of time is acknowledging and not gaslighting something into believing that it is just them. I do see the world that you are seeing, and I do understand that the way that you feel is a reflection of the way in the place in the society that you're being forced to live in. And I think it's beautiful that, like, and I will end on something that's gravy. I do think it's beautiful what you're doing to be able to help people to get to that, to get to a place where they can maintain through this, and maybe through like a breakthrough that you have with a client, or connecting someone, or like connecting with someone in that way, that it's also fulfilling on your end as well, to give yourself hope, to do that. And one of the things that was gravy for me is I recently found a therapist, not personally, but I found a therapist that was doing this, but they were like, it was like they had a client who was on they're also doing sliding scale, and they were paying like $100 a session and something like that. And they had offered up like, if you wanted to, I could charge you $150 a session, and you could be paying for a session who's somebody who could only afford $50 a session. And somebody being able to not only feel good about working on their own mental health, but now they're contributing to it. It was almost like a subtle mutual aid that was happening within the mental health community, where it was like, oh shit, and people who, like, once they got in a better financial situation, now they're like, oh, I used to get sponsored, and now I can sponsor someone else and help them. And I was curious if you saw that. I didn't know if this was like a one person thing, or if there was something that was like, if you saw other therapists doing that. But it filled me with so much hope, because I genuinely, unfortunately, believe in people. So I genuinely think people, when they have the means, like, it's like, oh, buying a meal for someone very easily, buying a session for someone, getting someone the help that they need with let's share this meal. This is all I can afford. Let us share it, so we can both eat, so to speak, in a mental health capacity.
Yeah, God, it's just so depressing, the truth, the like universal truth that us poor people will split the one sandwich we have with another hungry person, so to share it. But then so many people who could give don't, like, or who could help don't.
Right.
Yeah. Soapbox. But
because it's I mean, it's greed. We see it all the time. I'm certain you see it when you're trying to get funding for the foundation, and I'm certain people on the board that you talk to, that you work with and stuff like that, have lamented about it. I mean, we've talked about it when we're talking to union reps and other nonprofits and shit like that, the mutual aid people that we've had on here. Like, it's always difficult getting people with tight fists to be like, but why don't they just get someone to do it? And it's just like, oh, because in real life, and people who don't live in a socioeconomical position that you live in, that thing that you're talking about doesn't exist. So that is, we have to split a sandwich with each other, because we don't. I would rather not eat a whole sandwich so that you could have half a sandwich, and trying to get them to understand that concept.
Yeah, I'd rather still be hungry and know somebody's fed than be fed and know somebody's hungry when I could have helped them.
Yeah.
Especially if it's one of my people. To your question about that, so for a long time, sliding scale has traditionally always been, a chart. It's because that's fair. Well, fair is equal. Equal's not equitable. So I have seen some changes. The first time I saw it was a training, 2021, I think, where they had equitable sliding scale that you picked. So they were like, look, the base is such and such. We've got reduced rates. If you need them, don't be afraid to. If you're successful and you make more money, there's a higher rate. Pay that one, like you're saying, to help fund the people who do the lower rates. So I've seen some of that start to grow and to happen in places. I don't see it a lot, but I do think I hope it will continue to grow, and I think it will. I think our conversations around ethics and feminism and equity in general is a big one.
It was female therapists. I will say that. I'm not trying to say it's women, but it was female therapists that I saw saying it. So, I do think that there is something, in a nurturing nature, that it's like, helping. Well, and then the thing at the end of the day is helping feels good.
Do we have enough time for me to share something else? I don't know what our time's like.
Oh, yeah, we have a little bit. Yeah, we got a little bit of time.
Okay. Because you'd asked me or in prepping for stuff, I got some stats and some info about us, but also you'd asked me about potentially a success story.
Mhm.
And I have one that's a really good one. One of my current therapist on my team, her name's Daly Pruitt. She started back, we used to be called Westgate, we're now Emerge.
Mhm.
She started as a client at Westgate when she was 10 or 11, had a really good connection with her therapist, kept her for, her full student time. And then like, even after that, kept working with her,
Mhm.
did well, stopped. When she was in college, she came here to Emerge as a client, was already here and working here before she realized it was the same place as before,
Mhm.
that because the name had changed. While she was here during undergrad, her therapist was like, you might be good at this. Like, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to be a therapist? Helped her like orient her towards the program, got in, and now she is a therapist here. Daily is, and she's working. We have several community partnerships that we do where we work at different locations.
Mhm.
Some of them are ones in a community center, and we have a partnership with several schools. She's one of our school-based therapists. So, like, just kind of painting the picture of Emerge over the last just 20 years for her. She was a client who would have never gotten therapy because of her family situation.
Mhm.
If there wasn't a sliding scale clinic, like literally just wouldn't have ever gotten it.
Mhm.
And then that person has now full circle come back and is giving back to her community and is helping us with like one of the first therapists that we hired for our partnership with the schools. So she's now helping us further the mission and work that Emerge does. And I think she's a good picture of like not just an individual, but longitudinally,
Mhm.
how many people in the community we've touched or changed. And that's not even, we train therapists, we do continuing education courses.
Mhm.
So like nurturing on different levels, but Daly's one we're really proud of, and that she's been able to start as a client and come back as a therapist, and she still works here. She's also started her own virtual therapy
Mhm.
called Lost Star Therapy that I told her I would shout out since she let me use her story.
Nice. And say the name again.
It is Lost Star Therapy,
Mhm.
and Daily, Daylee Pruitt.
Oh, nice. Well, Ross, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I think that's beautiful. I think it's great to be able to somebody who sought help and was in a place that normally they wouldn't have been able to get help to find it. To not only that, but to see how fulfilling it is to be able to provide that help for others. And I think that's fucking beautiful and a lovely place to end it. So guys, make sure you guys check out Emerge, especially if you're in the South Carolina area. Thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing what you guys do. I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you guys so much for listening. You know how much we adore you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Mhm.
You could stick a whole ribeye in one of your back pockets. Like,